Okay, so this guy over here, NBA player, he signs a contract 5 years and some sponsorships for well over $200 million at age 23. Just weeks or a couple months later, he hits the club, he's having a good time, you know, and he hops on Instagram Live to do this.
I think that's like ever skin I get no playing it. I'm a thumb back of bread. Stay down the ring, man.
In March, Morant was suspended for 8 games after he was seen holding a gun inside a nightclub on Instagram Live. A representative for Morant did not immediately respond to requests for comment.
Now, that was already bad enough. That happened a few months ago, and it cost him millions of dollars off his contract and a sponsorship deal with Nike. But what has me talking about Ja Morant today is because just this past week, he had the gall and the fucking cojones to get caught doing this.
Grizzly star Ja Morant has been suspended for a second time after once again appearing to flash a gun on social media. The video circulated on Saturday night. It shows Morant with what appears to be a handgun while he's riding in a friend's car. Yesterday, the Grizzlies said they were aware of the video and suspended Morant from all team activities.
And after that now, guys, I think it's official that we are dealing with, quite literally, the biggest bag fumbler in history, or at least that I've ever personally witnessed in a long time. Okay, so I don't really give a shit personally to follow the NBA. Basketball has just never really been a sport that I've gotten very excited about ever. And I didn't really think much of this incident when it happened the first time because I just figured it was another instance of athletes doing something stupid and getting caught. But after a few days ago, I am genuinely speechless at how quickly this has been turning into a train wreck. And the first situation was bad enough for him. I mean, it cost him around roughly $60 million. I know it cost him $39 million off of his contract directly. And then the deal with Nike was a couple tens of millions. So you're down well over 60 mil to begin with. And a lot of future deals are in jeopardy for basically the rest of your career already at this point. Then he got suspended too, so he can't play or help his teammates win. So you would think that after all of that drama and having to release an apology and having to talk with NBA executives in person to display that you're looking to change your behavior.
He flew to New York. He sat down. He met with you. What did you say to him about how much more severe it would be if he did this again?
We talked directly about the consequences first before we got to a subsequent potential. We were very focused on the misconduct that was in front of us at the time. And frankly, most of our conversation was about how incredibly serious the first incident was of waving, a firearm on social media. Again, and the consequences there, an 8-game suspension was pretty serious and something that he, at least to me, seemed to take incredibly seriously in that time, and we spoke for a long time.
You would think that this man wants to stay as far away from firearms as possible, or Instagram Live to begin with. And this is one thing I'll never understand about some professional athletes. Antonio Brown is probably the worst example of this. But it's one thing to live stream every now and then to build your brand and interact with the chat and build a connection with your fan base. But it's a completely different thing to go live and just behave like a dink who clearly is seeking attention however they can get it. I don't know what makes these athletes think associating with any of this stuff is going to do anything positive for their image in the sport. I think it's cringe as fuck to begin with if someone's waving around a firearm recklessly thinking that they're being cool. But what makes this extra stupid in Ja's case is he just signed a contract extension to get him off of his rookie deal. So he hasn't even made a fraction of the money he's due to make for the rest of his career yet. So first situation is bad enough, hundreds of millions of dollars in jeopardy. But, you know, we kind of still got that going for him. I mean, it's not all lost yet. But no, apparently it's extremely difficult for this guy to resist waving around a gun for no reason at all whatsoever. And that's really shitty of his friend to start live streaming Ja after all this already happened in the first place. You'd have to almost wonder if he set him up on purpose, just with how perfect this whole thing is. But all of this could just be avoided if you didn't have to act all hood everywhere you went, when really you're living pretty cushy making NBA money already. I mean, this is quite literally as simple as don't go live on Instagram and you make hundreds of millions of dollars. But now after this recent incident, I'm not even sure at all what's gonna come of this, because everyone in sports media just seems to be completely flabbergasted right now. People on TV talking about this have no clue what to even say, because I just don't think anyone has ever been a repeat offender this quickly in such a ridiculously stupid way. And just look at this recent statement Ja put out. He goes, "I know I've disappointed a lot of people who have supported me. This is a journey, and I recognize there is more work to do. My words may not mean much right now, but I take full accountability for my actions. I'm committing to continuing to work on myself." Bro, like, there's no work to do here. In fact, quite literally, doing the opposite of work, which would be doing nothing, is exactly all you needed from the start here. Like, try less here. You don't need to look for a socially acceptable way to wave around firearms like a dink while you're live. But I mean, to be honest, like, I do really feel for him a little bit here. Only because, at least from what I've seen, I don't think he really meant any harm, or that he intended to hurt anybody else. But this whole situation is just fucking stupid. This is quite literally the play stupid games, win stupid prizes. I will say though, I do think that this is gonna hurt him quite a bit in the short term, but over the long term, I think so long as he like completely stays off of Instagram Live, I think that he could probably reach a point where people and teams will be able to move past this if he's able to keep a low profile for a while. Because the reality of sports is that it's a business and it's difficult to find players who can perform. So talented players are always just going to be given a million second chances. It's like this in every sport, or really just with anything in general. I mean, and if you really are that fucking good at something, like that good, people will always pay you to do what they need. But in the end, you know, I wish the best for Ja Morant in the long run. I mean, I wouldn't like to see anybody throw away such an amazing opportunity like this, especially to be playing in the NBA. But this is going to be a tough one to live down. He might possibly be the biggest bag fumbler in NBA history, because I don't think he's going to have a shot at making nearly as much money he would have otherwise.